Have you ever noticed that you keep dating the same kind of person, even when you swear you're going to choose differently this time? You meet someone new, they feel completely different at first. And then 3 months in, you realize you're having the exact same conversation you had with your last partner. The same frustration, the same knot in your chest. And you think to yourself, why do I keep doing this? Welcome to Mind Decoded. I'm Dr. Ann.
And I'm Zach. Dr. Ann, what are we unpacking today?
Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful frameworks in all of relationship psychology. It's called attachment theory, and it explains why the emotional patterns you learned before you could talk are still running the show in your adult relationships.
Okay, I already feel personally attacked and we're 30 seconds in.
That's exactly the reaction most people have. And that's because attachment theory is one of those ideas that once you understand it, you start seeing it everywhere. In your own dating history, in your friendships, in the way you handle conflict with your parents. It's like putting on glasses for the first time.
So give me the basics. What is attachment theory?
It starts with a British psychologist named John Bowlby in the 1950s. Bowlby was studying children who had been separated from their parents during hospitalization or wartime, and he noticed something striking. The way these children responded to separation wasn't random. It fell into very specific patterns.
What kind of patterns?
Some children would cry and cling desperately when their mother left, and then when she returned, they'd be angry and hard to comfort. Other children would act like they didn't care at all. They'd turn away when their mother came back, and then there were children who seemed to handle it well. They'd be upset when she left, but when she returned, they'd go to her, get comforted, and then go back to playing.
And this predicted how they'd be in relationships later?
That's the part that really changed everything. Bowlby believed that these early patterns become what he called internal working models. Basically, your brain builds a template for how love works based on what you experience in your first year or two of life, and that template follows you into adulthood.
So if your parents were inconsistent when you were a baby, your brain just assumes love is inconsistent?
Exactly. Your brain doesn't have the words to say, "Mom was stressed and tired today, so she's not being as responsive as usual." Instead, it builds a rule. When I need someone, they may or may not show up, so I have to work really hard to keep them close. Or the opposite rule, when I need someone, they don't show up, so I'll just stop needing them.
Wait, those two rules sound like two completely different kinds of people. One is the person who's constantly anxious in relationships, and the other is the person who stays emotionally distant.
You just named the two most well-known insecure attachment styles. In the research, we call them anxious attachment and avoidant attachment, and yes, they often end up dating each other.
Ah, no. Oh, I've lived this. I have lived this so many times.
Tell me.
I had this relationship last year. I was the one who was always texting first, always asking if everything was okay, always worried that she was losing interest, and she was cool. She was calm. She would say she needed space, and I'd give her space, but then I'd get more anxious because the space felt like rejection. And then she'd feel smothered, and I'd feel abandoned, and we'd do this loop until one of us ended it.
And how did you explain it to yourself at the time?
I thought I was just too needy, and I thought she was just not that into me.
That's the default story we tell ourselves. I'm too much, they're too cold. But when you look through the lens of attachment theory, what was actually happening was a dance between two different survival strategies.
Survival? That feels like a strong word for dating someone.
It feels strong because as adults, we think of relationships as about love and choice. But your attachment system doesn't see it that way. Your attachment system was built when your survival literally depended on staying close to a caregiver. So when you feel that anxiety in a relationship, your brain is not thinking about text message etiquette. It's thinking, the person I need to survive might be leaving. Danger.
So when I was obsessively checking my phone, my brain thought I was literally fighting for my life?
In a very real emotional sense, yes. And when your ex-girlfriend pulled away, her brain was running a different survival program. The avoidant brain learns early that closeness is risky, that depending on someone leads to disappointment or being controlled. So it creates distance as protection.
So she wasn't cold, she was protecting herself.
Exactly. And neither of you was wrong. You were both running programs that kept you safe when you were small.
Breathing. Okay. I need a second because I've spent a lot of time being frustrated at myself and at her, and hearing it framed this way makes me feel something I didn't expect.
What's that?
Compassion for both of us.
That's one of the most beautiful things about understanding attachment theory. It doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it explains it. An explanation is the first step toward change.
So let me ask the obvious question. What about the people who don't have this drama? The ones who seem to just be in healthy relationships?
That's what we call secure attachment. It's not that secure people don't feel upset or don't have conflicts. They do, but their internal working model says that when they need someone, that person will generally be there. So they don't have to fight to get close, and they don't have to run away either.
And this comes from having perfect parents?
No, this is the most important thing I'll say today. Secure attachment doesn't come from perfect parenting. It comes from good enough parenting. The psychologist Donald Winnicott coined that term. A good enough parent is not always responsive. Sometimes they're tired, sometimes they miss the cue, but most of the time they repair. They come back and reconnect. And that repair teaches the child's brain something crucial. Disconnection is temporary. Connection is the baseline.
So it's not about never messing up. It's about fixing it.
Exactly. And that applies to adult relationships too. Secure couples don't never fight. They fight and then they find their way back to each other.
I need to know something. Is your attachment style permanent? If I grew up with inconsistent parenting and I'm anxious in relationships, am I just stuck like this?
This is where the science gets really hopeful. Attachment styles are stable, but they are not fixed. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity. The pathways you built as a child are strong, but new experiences can create new pathways. A secure romantic relationship can literally rewire your attachment system.
So dating someone secure could make me more secure?
That's exactly what the research shows. There's a concept called earned security. Through consistent, reliable experiences with a partner, your brain starts to update its internal working model. It learns that not everyone leaves. It learns that needing someone doesn't always lead to disappointment.
But what if you're in a relationship with someone who triggers your attachment system? Like I was with my avoidant ex?
That's where self-awareness becomes your greatest tool. Once you know your attachment pattern, you can start to notice when it's running the show. You can pause and ask yourself, is my anxiety about this text? Or is my anxiety about something that happened 30 years ago?
That's a powerful question.
And here's a second one. This one is from the work of Dr. Sue Johnson, who developed emotionally focused therapy. She asks couples to identify the music behind the dance. What's the melody that keeps playing under your fights?
For me, the music was, "You're gonna leave." And for her, it was probably, "You're gonna swallow me whole."
That's exactly right. And once you name the music, you can change the dance. You can start to respond to your partner's attachment need instead of reacting to their attachment behavior.
You mean example of that in real life?
Let's say you're in a relationship and your partner gets quiet after a disagreement. Your anxious brain says, they're pulling away. I need to chase. I need to get them back. You start asking, are you okay? What's wrong? Talk to me. But your partner actually has an avoidance style, and your chasing makes them pull away more.
I've had this exact conversation.
Most people have. Now imagine instead, in that moment, you recognize what's happening. You pause, and you say something like, I can feel myself getting anxious. I want to reconnect, but I also know you might need a minute. I'm here whenever you're ready.
That feels terrifying to say.
It does, because it requires vulnerability and trust. But it breaks the cycle. Instead of the anxious avoidant loop, you're offering connection without demanding it.
What's the research say about how common these attachment styles are?
In the general population, about 50 to 60% of people are considered secure. Roughly 20% are anxious, and about 20 to 25% are avoidant. The rest fall into a category called disorganized attachment, which often involves more chaotic or fearful patterns.
So secure is the majority, but anxious and avoidant are not rare.
Not at all. And here's the fascinating part. Anxious and avoidant individuals tend to find each other. It's called the anxious avoidant trap. The anxious person's need for closeness activates the avoidant person's need for distance, and the avoidant person's distance activates the anxious person's pursuit. It's like a seesaw that neither person knows how to get off.
Laughter, I feel so called out right now.
That's the gift of this research. It makes you feel seen before it makes you feel judged. And honestly, once you understand this, it changes how you judge yourself for your relationship patterns. You were never broken. You were just running a program that made sense when you were 2 years old.
Okay, so how do I start noticing my own attachment style in daily life, not just in big relationship moments?
Pay attention to your response to small disconnections. When a friend doesn't text you back for a few hours, when your partner seems distracted, when someone you care about forgets something important, what's your first emotional impulse? Do you feel a spike of anxiety like you did something wrong? Do you feel a surge of independence like, fine, I don't need them anyway? Or do you feel mildly disappointed but able to wait?
If I feel the spike, that's my anxious style showing up.
Exactly. And noticing it is the whole game. You don't have to change it in that moment, just notice it. Say to yourself, there's my attachment system. It thinks I'm in danger. I'm not. Over time, that awareness changes the neural pathway.
I want to ask about something I've been wondering for a while. What about people who say they don't need anyone? The ones who pride themselves on being independent.
That's often a beautiful adaptation that started as a survival strategy. A child who learns early that their needs won't be met learns to stop having needs. That child grows up to be the adult who says, I don't need anyone, with genuine conviction. But here's the thing about humans. We are the most social species on the planet. Our nervous systems are literally designed to co-regulate with others. So that fierce independence often comes with a cost. Loneliness, difficulty trusting, a sense that no one really knows you.
So the I don't need anyone person is actually protecting themselves from the pain of needing and being disappointed.
Exactly. And that understanding is compassion. It's not fix them, it's understand them. And if you're that person, it's understand yourself.
Dr. Ann, I have to tell you, this episode is hitting differently for me. I came in thinking I was going to learn about other people, and I'm leaving realizing I just learned about myself.
That's the magic of good psychology. The more you learn about how minds work, the more you realize you're not as strange as you thought. You're just human.
Before we wrap up, give me one thing I can actually do tomorrow. One practical step.
Tomorrow, when you feel a spike of relationship anxiety, whether about a partner, a friend, or a family member, pause for 3 seconds. Take one breath and ask yourself, is this about right now, or is this about something older? That question alone will change the course of the conversation you're about to have.
Is this about right now, or is this about something older? I'm writing that down.
And if you're in a relationship right now and you recognize your attachment style in this episode, consider sharing it with your partner. The most powerful thing couples can do is learn about each other's attachment patterns. It turns conflict into curiosity.
That's beautiful. Where can people learn more if they want to go deeper?
Start with Dr. Amir Levine's book, Attached. It's accessible and research-backed, and for the original theory, look up John Bowlby's Attachment Trilogy. But honestly, just start with noticing. That's enough.
Dr. Ann, thank you for this. I think this episode is going to change how I show up in my next relationship.
That's the best thing I could hear. Thank you, Zach.
To everyone listening, if this episode made you think of a specific relationship or a specific moment where you recognized yourself, share it in the comments. Dr. Ann and I read them.
And as always, be curious about your own mind. It's the most fascinating place you'll ever visit.
We'll see you in the next episode.